Okay, moving on to example 3, 21x squared minus 43x plus 20. Again, factoring. Once again, first thing I'm going to do is look for a common factor. Looking at primes specifically, 3 and 7, the only numbers divide 21. Either 3 or 7 goes into 43 or 20, so it's not got a common factor. There's no way to get rid of that lead term by factoring anything. So once you see that you can't factor anything out and the lead term has a number in front of it, I need to multiply 21x squared times 20. Both those are positive numbers, so my factors of this time are going to be a positive 420x squared. And I want the sum of those factors to be negative 43x. Alright, so if we consider the structure of the numbers necessary to make this occur, to make a positive product I need the numbers to have the same sign. In order for those numbers to add up to negative, the sign they share have to be a negative number. So this goes back to what I was talking about. If there's no way to avoid that third slot term being negative, you just have to let it be negative and deal with it. So, does anybody off the top of their head know what it is?
No.
I don't either. So let's start with 1. Negative 1x times 420x. That's not right. Negative 2x and negative 210x. Negative 3x, negative 140x. 4, negative 4x, negative 105x. None of those look like they make negative 43, right? Keep going. Negative 6x and negative 70x. Negative 7x and negative 60x. Negative 67, getting closer. 8. Let's see. 50. Doesn't go into it, does it? No, 8 doesn't go into it. 9 doesn't go into it. 10, so it would be negative 10x and negative 42x, which makes negative 52x. 11 doesn't go into it. 12, maybe. 1, 2, 3. 6, 35. That's negative 47x, getting closer. 13, 14, negative 15x. And let's see, negative 2, 8. There we go. Negative 15x and negative 28x. Okay. If your division skills aren't up to par with mine, all you have to do is type in 420 divided by the first number. Just count up one at a time. So like if I'm doing this by hand, like with my calculator, like 8 was the first number, didn't work. Actually 5 would have worked and I skipped it. But anyway, 8. So if I do 420 divided by 8, if you get a decimal, you throw it out. 420 divided by 9, get a decimal, throw it out. 420 divided by 10, you get a whole number, so 10 and 42. So if you just work your way up one at a time, you eventually find the correct pair. So that's how you do it. Each time you get a pair, just mentally add. If it's the right number, great. Stop. If it isn't, keep going. So negative 15x, negative 28x. So what I'm going to do here again is this object here is going to change into this pair of objects here. And if I count them out, first term 21x squared, second term negative 15x, third term negative 28x, and fourth term positive 20. My third term is this, and it is negative. There's no way to avoid it, because I can either have minus 28x or minus 15x. It's got to be one or the other. I can't arrange these numbers either way to make the third term positive. So here's the one extra added feature when this happens. When you cannot avoid this, what I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and write it one more time down here. I want what I write down here in parentheses to match equivalently to what I have in not parentheses up here. So if I put parentheses around the first two objects, 21x squared minus 15x, that's positive, that's negative, everything's exactly right with that grouping, right? Everybody see that okay? The second grouping, I got a minus now in between the parentheses. All right, 28x goes right here. Oops, 28x. If I distribute this minus sign through, minus 28x makes the same as minus 28x, right? So that's the same. But if I put a plus 20 here, it's actually minus 20.
Okay.
So I got to make this second sign
Negative.
a negative so that minus minus makes the plus up here. So basically what ends up happening, the end result of all this stuff, if you just know to expect it, is whatever this object is, in the parentheses becomes the opposite term, opposite sign. Everything else is fine as it is, because again, distributing a positive That's positive, that's positive, that's negative, that's negative. Distributing a negative, that's now positive. So that's the end result. And again, as I said, it's not much more difficult, but it's one extra thing to think about. So it does make it a little bit more difficult, gives you one extra thing to think about, one extra chance to mess up. So if you can avoid it, it's worth avoiding. Once you do that, now we're in the same boat we've been in before. We got group number 1, we've got group number 2. Group number 1, we're going to find a common factor of 21x squared and 15x. Numerically, what's the biggest number divides 21 and 15?
3.
Perfect, 3. And x squared and x both contain an x, so 3x is the common factor of the first group. Divide by 3x, we're going to get 7x minus 5. The second group, what's the biggest number divides 28 and 20?
2, no.
2 bigger than 2?
4.
4. Right? Notice this minus sign is still there. We're taking a 4 out, and we're going to divide by 4. So 28x divided by 4 is 7x. Negative 20 divided by 4 is negative 5. Negative 4 and negative 5 make positive 20. Negative 4 and positive 7x make negative 28x. Again, this is equivalent to that. I didn't have to change signs by dividing because I've already accounted for the sign changes in this original step. And just like every other problem we've had so far, the binomial pair is the same. That's one of the factors. And whatever came out is the other factor. Again, factor 1 being multiplied by factor 2. Circle your answer in that final